Hey, what's going on, you guys? As we said before, massive thank you to any of you listening to the podcast, whether it be YouTube or Spotify, either or. Yeah, as you can probably tell from the runtime now, something happened. It's probably something to do with the audio, the technology shit. But yeah, we do kind of summarize what we said for those 45, 50 minutes near the end. But yeah, sorry for the lack of content this week. We'll make sure to get stuff straightened out next week. But yeah, thank you to all you listeners, and sorry about the short podcast this week. All right. All right, what's going on, all you doorknobs and shower handles out there? Thank you for listening to episode 9. We got a Skywalker saga. We got 9 episodes going on.
It's a trilogy of trilogies.
Oh yes, that sounds amazing.
Definitely.
Yeah.
But yeah, thank y'all for listening out there, whoever you are. 3 local legends out here again.
XAEA-12.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Optimus Primal.
Yeah.
Transformer.
I like the special emphasis on
Transformer.
Honestly, if you think about it, Transformers are trans.
Are Transformers.
Basically.
They're car and robot.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
They're both. They're everything.
Jeez,
Yeah.
Dude.
Well, no, actually, because they're robots that pretend to be cars, so they're just closeted robots that are hiding in cars.
Wait.
They're hiding in cars.
They're just in the closet and they haven't come out yet.
You're
Well,
right.
what about after the first Transformers? I mean, people know that they're out there.
Yeah, but then they go in car mode, so like they know that they exist, but like that car could be a transformer.
Like we know gay people exist. We just
Yeah. Happy Pride Month, by the way.
Dude, this just ruins Transformers for me. I'm gonna see them transform and I'll be like,
Dude, you just gotta celebrate it.
Yeah, we gotta celebrate their transformity.
yeah.
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 I mean, it's Pride Month. We just gotta watch all Transformer movies back to back.
back to back to back to back to back to back to Bumblebee to cartoons to. Dude, there's too many
By
Transformers.
the way, I love the intro that you doorknobs and shower handles. Now all the doorknobs and shower handles are gonna be like, he knows me.
Yeah.
Doorknobs be.
Dude, yeah,
I mean, think of all they do for us.
Yeah, I got a message a couple weeks ago from a doorknob that it was just like, come on, I'm just missing out, dude. And then I was like, oh, I got you.
Like, no politician has thanked doorknobs as shower handles yet. Like, I think this is.
Helicopters.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Dude, like, I think this is a first.
We're doing firsts out here.
Yeah.
My God. So anyway,
Yeah.
let's get to some serious shit.
Yeah.
The world's going on right now.
Yeah.
What do y'all have to say?
Definitely. Well,
yeah.
I mean, if you look at it like in the scheme of 2020, so we started off with World War III, and then we went to Australian bushfires, then we went to a global pandemic, then we all kind of got socially isolated in April, and now, like, it's basically the 60s with, like, I guess civil rights, race riots again.
Yeah.
And then also there's, like, looting and stuff, too, so that's, like, the 90s, so it's, like, 6 things all in one.
Honestly, these past 6 months have probably been like the worst time span for America since like 9/11. I would say.
Well, I feel like in this time, like 100 times more people have died from COVID-19 than 9/11.
Well, yeah. I'm just saying, like in terms of
like
impact
the
on
effect.
country.
Well, I feel like in 9/11 we all came together, and right now,
Oh, we're falling apart.
yeah,
Yeah. This country ain't doing too well. I'm gonna say that much.
yeah, definitely. And I mean, the government, I guess, isn't really doing that much. Or like, instead of doing sweeping police reform and doing a statement of solidarity, now we're gonna call in the military, and then we're gonna order police to fire tear gas and rubber bullets into the crowds. Because that'll make them calm down, apparently.
Yeah, I don't know. My sympathy just kind of it's just, I don't know. I don't want to say it's gone because I feel it for George Floyd and the family and the people that have like wrongly been abused or killed. But my sympathy ends for all these other protesters. I'm putting quotes up because
not the ones that riot and are different than protesters.
That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. They call themselves protesters though. They're calling themselves like.
Well,
at least I feel.
So far when they've like arrested them, they're anarchist groups. There's hate groups posing as protesters trying to like dilute the message. And I mean, I feel like for hate groups or those who like oppose Black Lives Matter, like trying to cause chaos in their name and discredit them is the best thing they could do.
Possible for them.
Yeah. Like, because they can't go out and argue it because everybody will shut them down for being, racists and terrible human beings. So if you can't beat them, join them and make them look really bad, I guess. It's their logic. And then I guess the looters are more people that are like, yo, easy money, let's go, the police are distracted.
Yeah.
And like they're different than protesters.
Yeah, looters, I feel like, I don't want to say that they're like lower in terms of just human compassion and humanity within them, but
well, I feel like they're people without strong values because
Yes,
people of all walks of life steal, like from all across America, basically all over the world. Like you got billionaire CEOs that are ripping people off in Ponzi schemes and like salvaging a company and pocketing millions of dollars, and then down the streets you have people that aren't as organized and don't know how to do it, but when they see the cops are distracted and like there's civil unrest and a bunch of people are doing it, then they could join the fray and get away with stealing, I guess, hundreds of dollars worth of stuff.
So you're just saying that kind of mentality of, hey, free shit is just trickling down now to the common person?
Well, the people that would take advantage of free shit, like the common person wouldn't do it. Like 90% of the protesters and people speaking out against this, or no, I would say 95%. All right, and 90% of every demonstration has ended, or I guess 99% of every demonstration has ended non-violently. Yeah. And it's just people that are taking advantage of it. And I mean, the cops aren't helping too. Like with the curfew thing, they box in protesters in like neighborhoods and just like mace them, and they don't let them go home because they corner them. Yeah. And they just kind of keep them there.
Although I feel like though, all right, do you guys know who Glink is?
No.
Is a YouTuber?
No.
He does like reporting stuff on weird stuff like Super Smash Bros and like weebs and all that, but he did a video recently. It was kind of like a run through of what's going on in the world right now in terms of the U.S. right now, and like he had some live footage of like a Vegas protest, and like I think there were people. There was the police and then there was the people, obviously, like on two opposite sides, and like the people, they were throwing stuff at the cops. Like at first it was peaceful, but then as mob mentality grows, it kind of got more violent and more hateful, and then then obviously the cops threw tear gas and chaos ensued. And so I feel like there's validation to both sides, but both sides are also in the wrong in some way.
Well, definitely. And I mean, that goes in individual people. Like, most cops aren't throwing tear gas and shooting rubber bullets. In fact, you see a lot of cops joining the protesters, and I guess, I don't, like, they haven't reported on this, like, which I think they should be, but what are police departments doing for it? Because, I mean, like, chokeholds are allowed in 70% of, like, police departments. Use of force, like, they need to fix that, so if somebody's like stealing something there, or in George Floyd's case, he was counterfeiting money apparently, like he's unarmed and counterfeiting money. How is he a threat, and why does he?
Exactly. Not exactly a knee type situation.
Yeah, and I mean the reason why like they had to do that, or no, they didn't have to do it. Like he had a heart attack while they were taking him away, and then like they thought like, oh, that guy fell to the ground, so we need to restrain them, which is totally against the police code of conduct. Yeah. And I mean, I guess it deserves to be second-degree murder, and then I guess with the other people, it's third-degree murder, because like they didn't do anything. They basically watched it happen and helped them restrain him in a way. Yeah. So like that's bad for one thing. And I guess what you're saying earlier about like the mob mentality was on both sides. There's people that like feel strongly about the cause. Like there's people that I guess have been racially profiled their whole lives, and they are pissed at the actual police officers, so they will throw stuff at them because they're boiled over. And I mean that's kind of understandable, where it's like a lifetime of rage boiling over into like one action.
Yeah, I mean this isn't really necessarily related to cops, but like it's just as dangerous for a white guy, if not more so, not more so than a black guy is to walk down a bad neighborhood. Like my family, from experience, lived in bad neighborhoods. Like
Yeah.
You see a black guy walk down a rich neighborhood, nobody's gonna like. People are gonna be too scared. If anything, they're not gonna go and they're not gonna go pick on him and jump him. Not really. Not the most.
Well, then not in picking on and jumping on them, but like they will see like, oh, that person doesn't look like he belongs there, so they will call the police to try and get them out of their field of view.
I mean, like not as much as you see white kids walking in bad neighborhoods, like black dudes picking fights with them. You know what I mean? Like, I feel like that happens much more often. It's just that you see all these cases coming, but like how many times have like, you know, a white guy, but I'm not saying they're more so, I'm just saying it's just as dangerous for them.
Like you're saying that the media and like marketing and whatever, they're like selectively picking certain examples.
Yeah, and like
create a narrative.
They're not showing that it's dangerous for anybody to walk down a bad neighborhood at night. Not saying something's going to happen every time.
Yeah.
But it is, you know.
Like in areas like that, crime rate is most heavily influenced by like wealth disparities. So of course in big cities where you have like CEOs and like there's haves and have-nots, there's going to be tensions and violence. Like that's the number one factor in determining that. So, and I mean, that problem was exacerbated in like the 60s, how they created the suburbs, and they basically used racial biasing to like screw over a bunch of neighborhoods and kind of turn them into low property value, not as good areas.
Yeah, well, I still stand by that. I don't know.
And
no, I think,
and the narrative they're creating is like I guess white people don't kill black people in the same order as like other types of crime, but like compared to police, like white people killed by police versus black people and like other race related stuff, like it is disproportionate in a way.
Yeah. What was I gonna say?
And I mean that's also exacerbated by like the stereotypes for it.
I will say, like, as sort of an outside observer, I'm not necessarily picking one side over the other. I'm just trying to make a conclusion about this from an outside perspective. I kind of feel like there's like a lost narrative there. Like the thing that I've seen the most is it's not us versus cops, it's everybody versus racist. But if that's the case, wouldn't you be rallying against racists instead of like in front of cops?
Yeah.
Well, I feel like it's a mix of both. Like what they're going against is systemic racism. So like I guess systemic racism is everything from like schools in which areas get more funding. So like that goes from wealth into the justice system where like I guess from charges from it. So like if a black person gets caught with weed, and they're like 4 or 5 times more likely to go to prison or face serious charge compared to a white person.
So you're saying that the opposite side, i.e. the system, the government, is represented by the police that they're confronting?
Well, I guess they're protesting like a system, like the U.S. Constitution, like the United States government, it was built to allow slaves, and like slavery was written in the Constitution with the 3/5 compromise.
Yeah.
So like racism has been built into the U.S. government and basically involved in almost every law and policy stuff up to like 1960, or I guess up to the 50s where they started desegregation.
Yeah.
And I mean, it took a break when Lincoln freed the slaves, but then got right back to work after that. If anything, it became almost as bad as before.
Yeah.
And the lynchings like rose in a way. Yeah. So it's the protesting is really against what's influenced all of government, or at least that's what my understanding is.
Yeah. I just want to cut in real quick. Disclaimer: anyone that's listening, the stuff that I said before. Again, I'm not like I'm not against the protests or anything like that. I'm simply just saying that like it's just like anybody's in danger walking down a bad neighborhood. That's all I was saying. Not saying it's more so for white. I just don't want people to get confused.
And I feel like that is not as relevant to this one. Like the protests are about what police do.
That's what I'm saying. That's why I was saying it wasn't related to anything with the cops and all that. I don't know. I just gave. Wasn't that related? But I just gave my little 2 cents.
I know it kind of goes off topic, but you guys know Drew Brees?
Maybe.
Yeah,
Saints quarterback.
Yeah, football.
No,
yeah.
Yeah, he made a statement about the Colin Kaepernick knee, saying like, I'm not for a guy who's against the flag, and then he got like, he got like dogged for that, and then he apologized. So like, but like, the thing with that and the thing with what you said is that I feel that like we need different opinions in order to have a
Oh,
conversation.
definitely. And
'Cause
so
right now, a lot of what's seen on social media, like with the Blackout Tuesday and all that, I feel like that shuts down conversation for a guy like me or a guy like Matt who has some sort of varying opinion.
Yeah.
yeah, and I feel like it's not a matter of varying opinion. It's a matter of varying perspective. So like,
Yeah, me too,
yeah. So like everybody has or I guess 90% people, like we all know racist, horrible like people like that.
I think so. Oh yeah.
Yeah, and like those people exist and they're out there. And I mean, some people like the size and some do not. But the majority of opinion in the world is judging somebody on the color of their skin and treating them worse.
Is intrinsically wrong. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, like it's a natural human instinct to like notice that, but like I guess what an ideal world would say, oh, just because you're one thing doesn't mean you're anything else, so I won't treat you any differently. Like that's primarily, and I would say like compared to the latest generations, like the stuff we've done in the past 20 years is almost as much as the past 100. Like, can you believe that literally 8 years ago, gay marriage was banned in almost most of the U.S. states?
Oh, that's weird. Yeah, that's weird to think, honestly.
Yeah, and like literally, in our middle school careers, like gay marriage was opened up, and now like there's Pride Month being celebrated by corporate entities. Like it's gone so far, and like it's almost to the point like I would say where homophobia really isn't as big, or at least in our area. I mean, out west where it's like really religious, that'll still be there for like a couple generations. It really change is a generational issue.
And now with this, I feel we're fighting the same fight we've been fighting for decades upon decades. You know what I mean? It's just
and I mean, that's part of why like some people feel so strongly about it. Like in the 60s, they fought for it. There was some change, but they're still having the same issue.
In the 80s and 90s, they were kind of it was underground, but they were still fighting for it. I feel like,
and like that's what Rage Against the Machine is like. Killing in the name of is basically this exact same issue.
You know something? Oh, sorry. What were you saying?
No, you're gonna say.
I was gonna say it's for Killing in the Name. Some lyrics that I really like. Actually didn't understand at first is when he said it's like set up. He says this is Freedom. It's not their song Killing in the Name, it's their song Freedom. But he's saying it's set up like a deck of cards. Something about they use the clubs to beat the spades. Which apparently a spade was like a word for a black person. Slur. Yeah, it was like a word like that. And I was like, he said something before that, but I was like, wow, I did not know that. At first, I didn't know that spade was a derogatory term for that, or was.
I don't know.
And like I don't know.
I mean, up north, like, and okay, so apparently our audio cut out.
Yeah, this'll. I think you guys are gonna love this podcast. It's gonna be 20 minutes.
Yeah, extra short. Yeah.
If you couldn't tell already.
All right, for a small fee of $75, you can hear the rest of the conversation in person.
We're just gonna recreate everything word for word with our
photographic memories.
No, that's like audio and what we said.
Audiographic memories? I don't know.
Yeah, something like that.
Well, that's amazing. So we're just going to give you 2.5 more minutes of...
Okay, well, no. How about we do a synopsis of what we talked about so then they can know what they're missing and then feel bad about
why
it.
Not?
All right, so after talking about Rage Against the Machine, we talk more about, I guess, racial tensions in a way, like in the police and the complex response in that, and how systemic racism has been basically ingrained in American culture.
And then we talked about like racial slurs for a little bit.
Yeah, and like how they're different in a way, and like how most of them have faded out of existence.
And we talked about raising kids.
Yeah, or we went from the racial slurs to talk about how parents raise their kids without passing on like the values that are looked upon as bad.
Then they ruined my childhood.
But that's later because then we talked about
childhood.
Yeah, but then we talked about school stuff and like social relations, how like homeschoolers are like stunted in a way because they miss out on that.
Did we ruin his childhood?
Well, no. We ruined his childhood, but that's like 20 minutes later. So then. Okay, so after the childhood stuff. Let's see, what do we talk about from there?
Movies?
I thought we just ruined his childhood. We ruined his childhood.
Yeah.
Okay, because then we went on to movies in a way, and and like talked about actors.
And all their god awful British accents and fucking Scottish accents. Don't get me wrong, the Scottish,
they're good people. But.
The Scottish sound good on like anybody. The British I like on the females, but and old dudes. But like the young teenagers that are British, I can't. I'm sorry, I just can't.
Some British accents are annoying. But then we talked about Snowpiercer and the platform. Oh yeah, we also played Netflix versus Hulu.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, that's how we got on that.
Synopsis of that, Hulu.
Yeah, Hulu. I mean, Netflix has some good originals. Like the one like Up it has is the international films. And then we went from like the platform and Snowpiercer. And then we ruined Matt's childhood by saying how Snowpiercer was a sequel to Willy Wonka.
Oh, thank God.
Fuck you, Willy Wonka. Fuck you, Johnny Depp. No, I'm just kidding. Yeah, I love you.
Johnny Depp's pretty cool.
Yeah.
And then after that, like, we continued talking about society and shit. And then Matt's cousin called and he said every racial slur imaginable. Yeah, so it's just...
He wanted to.
Yeah. Well, it's kind of good that that part didn't record. So yeah, that's all you missed, I guess. Sucks that this voice recording stuff didn't like work all the time. I think I'll just go back to the old system because it might be a new phone that messed up, but
oh well.
I guess see you guys next episode. Sorry about all that shit you missed.
Yeah, man.
Bye.
Thank y'all for listening to this shortened podcast.
Yeah, condensed, extra thick podcast.
And see y'all later, bro.
Yeah, bye.